everybody. I'm going to take a few moments to give everybody a second to hop on and to make sure that I really am live by checking it in our group. So as I do that, welcome to all of you who are going to join in. I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to be watching the replay, and that's totally fine. I get it. 2 o'clock on a Sunday is kind of a difficult time, but my family actually had some commitments and I was free. So I figured I would just make sure I did my live when I had a moment. So, all right, it does look like I am live. I'm not seeing it completely. It's frozen, but that's okay. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So I am Stephanie from Gathered in the Kitchen. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this live video tutorial. Today we are going to be making a Deco mesh wreath in the shape of a flower. So there are a few things that we need to have on hand. First up, we're going to need some rolls of Deco mesh. And I will tell you, everything I'm using today is from the Dollar Tree. So it's $1.25 per item now that their prices have gone up, but that's okay. This wreath is still very economical and beyond easy to make. So because I've already cut most of my rolls of yellow, actually all of my rolls of yellow, I'm going to show you other rolls of what this Deco mesh looks like. So this one is the green one, and it's just called Decorative Mesh, and it's by Crafter's Square, which you just find at your local Dollar Tree. So I have some in green. I actually have 2 rolls in the green, but we're only going to need, well, we are going to need 2. And then I have just some other fun fall colors that I bought just to have extra on hand. I always buy more than what I need because you never know when you're going to run out of Deco mesh and then you can't find it again. I've had that happen way too many times. So I have this. I do have, and I'm not sure if we're going to use this today or not. I haven't fully decided, but Deco mesh tubing. So it comes in a package like this, and this is what it looks like. It's basically like a mesh tube, and it's really fun to add a little extra flair to your wreath. I do have some artificial flowers. Again, not sure if we're going to use those. I just bought them because they were pretty. And here is a 14-inch wire wreath form. Now, I've already played around with a couple different methods, so that's why there's some mesh on here already, but this is just a 14-inch wire wreath form. So, I also have just a little sign that they had at Dollar Tree that I thought was cute, and it had the sunflowers, which is kind of the theme I'm going for with this. It says give thanks, which is fine. I can use this for fall or Thanksgiving. I may come back over this and paint it and then write welcome, just so it's a little more forgiving of the season. So we might do that. The other things I have are scissors to use just for our zip ties or cable ties that we'll also be needing. I also bought these at the Dollar Tree. They are red and black, which I wasn't thrilled about, but they didn't have any white ones or clear ones at my Dollar Tree, so I'm using these. They're just the small ones. There are 100 pieces in this package. Then on my table, I have this self-healing rubber mat. It's by Fiskars, and then I also have a Fiskars rotary cutting tool. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to first start off with cutting our mesh. So as I said, I've already cut my yellow. I've got them all over the place. And I cut everything at a 12-inch length. So I'm going to roll out my green and do my green. Lay it out here, and on my mat, now every mat is different, but on my mat, from the dark gray square to the other dark gray square is 12 inches. So I'm just going to do that. I always stand up when I cut these. I'm going to cut these. These are going to turn into our leaf petals for our wreath. And now these rolls are 5 yards each, and they are they're 6 inches wide. If you buy your wreath at like Hobby Lobby or Walmart, you can definitely find wider Deco mesh, which a lot of people do prefer, especially if you are making a sunflower wreath. But again, I wanted to make sure I purchased everything at Dollar Tree because that's local to me. I really don't have a lot of stores by me. So I wanted to go with that. And this can work out beautifully anyway. So if you are looking for something wider, go to a different store than Dollar Tree, but Dollar Tree is great. And we will get 15 1 foot or 12-inch lengths out of one roll, which is great. So typically for a wreath, that is it between 12 and 14 inches for the wreath form, I will do about 30 flower petals on the very outer ring, and then about 5 less each ring coming in. But so just make sure that you plan accordingly to make sure you have enough rolls of Deco mesh. And again, that is just my preference. I really like my wreaths to be very full. Not everybody cares about that. So if you're fine with that, then you don't need as much mesh. So, all right, we're gonna get these cut. So while you guys are tuning in, I'd love to know where you guys are from. I live in Wisconsin, hence why I already have flannel on because it's cold. It was only 63 degrees and it's August. Feel bad for me. It's okay. I know. It's only 63 degrees yesterday and today when I was driving in my car. I did have the heat on because I was cold. I'm sure it's going to warm back up, but we're definitely going through a little cold spell and it's rainy, so no fun at all. But that's okay. So tell me where you guys are from. I'd love to know while you guys tune in. All right, so we're at the end of this one. Now, here's a little trick. At the end of the tube for the roll, it is stapled on there. The Deco mesh is stapled. You can kind of rip your Deco mesh and use this. I always just throw this part away because it will fray. Now, if you guys have a problem with fraying Deco mesh, I have a tutorial over on my blog at Gathered in the Kitchen, and I explain to you exactly how to make it so your Deco mesh doesn't fray at the ends. The best way is by using the rotary tool cutter instead of scissors, just because it makes a really nice fine cut rather than all the little snips that you need to do to make it the full length or width of the mesh, and it just works out great. Another thing is, and I think I took it upstairs, is my lighter. I think one of my kids took it because we took our other one camping, but I always just have like a little cigarette lighter, the little handheld ones, and you can light the edges if you need to. So, all right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. This, again, is such a super, I can't find my other roll of green. Oh well, we'll make do with one roll. All right, so we've got our rolls here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys a little something that I kind of was playing around with, and this is now definitely my preferred method for attaching these petals if you are trying to make a flower. If you're making more of a curly Deco mesh wreath, definitely head to the blog, Gathered in the Kitchen, and search curly Deco mesh wreath. I have a tutorial on there that is very popular, and it's exactly how to make your curled Deco mesh wreath without fail. So, but these are a little different because we are making petals. Now, it might be kind of hard to see. Well, maybe it's not. You can see how these petals are very nice and just like sticking straight up and not all floppy and loosey-goosey like these. So the method I'm going to be teaching you today is this. I love this. You roll everything the same way, but it's all about how you attach them. So typically, and I'm going to deconstruct this as I'm talking to explain this to you guys. So typically what I do when I attach my mesh rolls is I use pipe cleaners to attach it to my wire wreath form. And I always fold my Deco mesh. I put these on here kind of tight. But when you're doing such a long roll, because these are 12 inches, it just makes it really messy and looking. I don't like that. And especially because we're making a flower, I want it to actually look like a petal on the flower. So I'm going to teach you guys how to do this. So let me take these off super quick. And we're not going to be using pipe cleaners. We are going to be using the cable ties or zip ties. Oh, they're on here. Okay, let's get these out of the way. But I wanted to keep them on here to show you guys first so you can understand a little better why I'm using the zip ties or cable ties, because that's kind of not a super popular method for attaching Deco mesh, so, but I was really excited when I was playing around with this of how to make this flower wreath. So I wanted to share that with you guys. All right, this one's almost off. Almost. Whoop, I might be twisting the wrong way. There we go. Okay, so we're gonna first start, you're gonna ignore this yellow one while I'm doing this. In towards each other, and this will give you your length of your petal. Hopefully you guys can see that. So I just rolled them in towards each other and pinch. Okay, so it's gonna look like that. We're gonna, let me re-roll it because when I showed, it kind of popped out a little bit. We're gonna roll this, and then we are going to fold it in half like so, and you're going to make it so you have a flat piece, almost like a flat edge. We're gonna place that on top of the wire wreath form. Take our zip tie or cable tie. I call them zip ties. I know many, they're technically called cable ties. I have to re-roll this one. This one, again, unrolled. So typically they don't unroll, but I roll them pretty tight and then it makes a really nice look. So here we go. Fold it in half. Place it on top of our first rung here on the flat side. I'm going to take a cable tie and stick the pointy part through on top of, so it's just going to go through my Deco mesh. I'm going to secure it then to this first rung and pull tight. Okay, so it looks like that. I just pulled it tight and now this is on here. Ignore the fact that you're going to have all these extra long zip ties hanging off the back. We're going to snip those at the end. So we're just going to repeat this process. What I like to do is to start by putting one of my Deco mesh rolls on each or near each crossbar to begin. So it's hard to see because I have a gold wreath form. You can kind of see this one. But I'm going to just put one on each of those first to make sure then I have even spacing between all of my petals. You can work it out where you do like 4 in between each one, 5, whatever your preference is. So because I only have one roll, I'm not going to do too many because I really don't know what happened to my second roll of green. I probably rolled someplace. And that's why I can't cut it right now. Unless it's somewhere up here. I'll probably find it after. All right, that's all right. So fold, start putting the zip tie in. Just go about a 1/2 inch up from your folded seam down there because you don't want to make it so now your petal is short. You don't want it to come down too far this way. So let's put this on. Whoop, that one slipped right out. And then you just zip tie it up. It's super easy. These wreaths do consume a little bit of time, but at the end, you'll be really happy with how it looks. So that one, I didn't even make it onto the bar. So go on the one side and over here. So I would love to know, aside from where you guys live, what your favorite type of wreath is that you've made. If you've ever made a Deco mesh wreath before, if you have, I would love to know what your favorite type is. If you have ever made one like this before where you have petals, or if you've done it where you just do the curled rolls, I'd love to know. My favorite is typically the rolls because it's so easy. It's so easy. There's no wrong or right way to make them. It's just kind of a free-for-all of where you place everything, and you can add an extra ribbon, and you can add in all those little ropes, the mesh ropes, and it just looks so good. So those are typically my favorite ones. I do have an Easter one also on the blog if you guys want some inspiration for down the road for Easter. So again, I'm just taking my single sized mesh, starting on opposite ends and rolling, and then pinching in the middle, folding up almost to make like little bunny ears, taking my zip tie, sticking it through the middle about a ½ inch up, and then placing it on. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Something with the internet kind of cut out. So there we go. It's back up, I hope. So there we go. So I've just started that. I've got one more green for this crossbar. Let me cut off the tag and roll another one. So again, we're just making a flower deco mesh wreath. This is just a new method that I'm experimenting with, and I figured I would show you guys how I did it because I have many, many doors on my house. If you guys have followed my blog for a while, you know I have a lot of doors. I have an 1886 Victorian, and we have a lot of doors, but I don't always want to remake wreaths for them because I like the ones that I have up already. So I don't always need to make lots and lots of new ones. So since I was making this one, I figured I should just show you guys and teach you. And then, because I don't know if I'll make another one of it, one exactly like this for a while. So until the next season. All right, so now that I actually have these on all of my crossbars, I'm just gonna come in and do one in between each one so far, and then see how many rolls I have left. So just gonna place these on and zip tie 'em. And again, we'll come back at the end to cut all those extra lengths off of these zip ties. And if you're able to find ones at your store that are clear or white, I would definitely recommend going that route rather than choosing red. I really didn't want red, but in the smaller size, my store only had the red and black. So, because they're kind of like in the automotive section of Dollar Tree. So if you go there, that's where you find them. It's over by all of their like automotive stuff. So I'm assuming these are actually for cars, not for crafts. So, all right, here we go. Got a couple more. I'll put this on. And attach. Okay. So it's starting to fill out a little bit. You can see a ton on here, but this yellow one is perfect. The reason that is because that's on one of the inner rings or inner rungs rather than just being on the outside where it can flap. So once this starts to become more full, these won't slide around. But you do want to make sure that when you attach your zip tie, you do it pretty tight. You want it secure to help avoid it from moving around, especially. Okay, sorry guys. I don't know why it keeps going in and out. Sometimes depending on where you do place your wreath, if it is outside and depending on the amount of sun you get, you will see some fading of your colors for your wreath. Now, I used to live in North Carolina before moving to Wisconsin, where it's freezing. And my front porch, my front door was right in the sun, like every moment of the day. I swear that door would be so hot you couldn't even touch it. So my wreaths did fade over time, but they usually lasted for a good year before they started fading. However, they did fade. They did not really get touched by rain. It didn't really snow down there, but you definitely may see some fading, but that's okay. That's to be expected for any wreath that's kept outside. So, You can try spraying, I believe 3M is who carries it, like an outdoor protectant spray for wreaths. You can try that on your Deco mesh and see if it helps with any fading for your wreath in your area. Again, it's all going to be kind of subject to really how much sun and elements your wreath is exposed to. So, all right, we're going to do a couple more. Chair's squeaking on this thing. Here we go. Roll, roll, roll. Now, and another thing you can do, because like I was saying, I personally really don't need very many more wreaths. I have so many wreaths that I've made over the years. If you guys do want to check out more, you can head to the blog, again, Gathered in the Kitchen, and see lots of wreaths that I've made over the years. However, the one thing I do like about using wire wreath form. Okay, sorry guys, I'm down in my basement, and I think that's why I'm getting bad internet connection. So, but one thing I like about using this kind of wreath form, these metal wreath forms, and the Deco mesh is that these are easily repurposed. So you can snip off all of these Deco mesh picks or flower petals, whatever you want to call them, for whatever type of wreath you're making, and reuse this metal wreath form. So typically I have a stack of them. I do actually. They're hanging up in my craft room right here that I can repurpose because, like I said, it's not always necessary to make another wreath, but when I do, I like to reuse what I do have. So, all right, we are done with our green pick. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with my yellow. So again, this green is actually just for our leaves of our sunflower. We're going to call it a sunflower. And we'll just add a little extra dimension. So I'm just doing the same exact thing with our yellow now. Rolling, folding, and attaching. And now I'm going to starting to apply them to this inner rung, the second one in. I'm not going to do it to the same rung where the green ones are. So again, I'm just going to do it on each crossbar first. And then we'll start filling in the inner sections of that. When I first started making wreaths, now this was Gathered in the Kitchen, went live in 2011. So when I first started making wreaths and sharing tutorials, I really was just kind of going off of guessing of how to make wreaths and everything. I've always been crafty, but I had never made a wreath before until starting to make one. And then I wanted to share the tutorials. The things I learned initially on was that when you first start out on spacing your picks and burlap bubbles and everything else that you can put on a wreath form, it's always really heavy and tight at the beginning, and then you run out and then half of your wreath doesn't look as full. And there's nothing that drives me more crazy about a wreath than a less than half full wreath. So I always now I try to start out where I put my starter leaves on my crossbars, so then I can evenly space and make sure I have enough between each bar rather than having some sides be heavy. Another little thing I learned was that the seasonal items at like Dollar Tree run out. So for instance, this one, it doesn't say it's seasonal right now, but this Deco mesh that has brown, red, orange, and yellow on it will not be sold when it's Valentine's Day, granted, of course, but they only get a limited quantity of this. And so if you don't buy a little extra, there is no guarantee that they'll have this same color roll when you go back. Believe me, I know I have run into that so many times, and I have learned my lesson enough times over for all of us crafters. Because where I lived in North Carolina, there were a lot more people, and a lot more people frequented the Dollar Tree that I shopped at, because the area was just more popular. You had a lot more crafters and things would run out. I would always just buy like 2 rolls and then I'd get home and crafting and go, oh my gosh, I need way more than this. And I would go back and they didn't have it. I can't even tell you the amount of times I drove way too far. I don't want to admit, just in case my husband ever sees this video, and see how many hours I've wasted driving to Dollar Trees just to find the same color mesh. So don't do that. Always buy a little extra, and then if you need to return it, they will let you exchange it for something else at Dollar Tree. And what always happens then is I won't need any more of this, but I'll need now a Christmas color. So say this is like Thanksgiving. Now I need a Christmas color. I just exchange it and get another roll. Now that's Christmas colored. So it works out. Just make sure you buy extra. So, all right. So again, we're just rolling, and making our cute little petals, folding in half and attaching them. So, what? Okay. Okay. Love you. A lot of times my kids used to craft with me, always actually, especially when they were younger. But now that they're getting older, they have other things that they want to do with their time rather than craft with their mother, which is so sad and depressing to me. And I'm sure if any of you are watching and have kids who are a little bit older now, you can understand what I'm going through. But before, I used to have them help me roll these and we'd make the wreath together, and it was so special. But now that's not their top priority. So, all right, let's see, where else do I need one? I think I've got it on all my crossbars. Okay, so I've got it on all my crossbars. So now I'm going to go ahead and put 3, maybe 4. I hope I have enough. Again, I should have bought more, but I wasn't, when I first bought this, I wasn't positive that I was going to make a sunflower. I thought I was going to do it a little more fall-like and almost ombre it in. So have the green on the outside and then this more on the outer layer and then all the yellow on the inside. But I changed my mind. So, because it is really only August still, and even though it's only 63 degrees here in Wisconsin, hence again my flannel, I'm not wishing away summer. I love fall, but I'm not ready for the really, really cold months that are ahead of us, because this will be our 4th winter here, and they are long and painful. So I have many indoor months ahead of me because I don't really like to be outside in the cold. So, all right. This one's tight. Okay. There we go. All right, so you can see that these are just now starting to fill in really nice. They're kind of hard to see on camera because they are so shiny. They almost look like translucent or transparent, but they really are there, I promise. So, all right. And really, it doesn't matter if I use the red or the black zip ties. It's all just what was in the package. So I'll probably start switching to the black in a little bit if I start to run out of the red. All right, so I am going to put 4 in between each bar. So in between all the ones that I had laid on before. And we'll just kind of spread them out a little bit, because then when I start to put on the next layer, they'll fill in. And for the next layers, I think I'm going to use the rope that I have, the mesh rope. I'll show you how easy it is to incorporate that. Typically, I do that when I'm making the mesh rolls, but we're going to give it a try with these little flower petal rolls as well. So, zip tie. guys. One of the other things I like about mesh wreaths is they don't have to be perfect. So obviously you've watched me roll these. I'm not rolling them super precise. Nothing is exactly rolled to the same tightness or length, but that's okay because that would be more like a real flower too. But wreaths made from Deco mesh are really forgiving, and they do fill in a lot of spaces, so you don't really have to worry too much. Now, granted, I wouldn't want some that were much longer than others because then you would start to notice the height difference, but with this, you really can't tell if one's rolled just a smidge tighter than another one or not. So another really fun thing to do with wreaths is to give them as gifts or like welcome gifts. It's really great to go ahead and get started on your holiday gift giving early. I just actually posted over on Gathered in the Kitchen some tips for a stress-free Christmas, and they are all personal tips that I actually use and have learned from a lot myself. So I'm really, with 3 kids, things just are getting more busy. I swear that, oh, we lost you again. That's okay, I got a sip of water. But as I was saying, I feel like the older my kids get, the more busy I am, and the less time I have to do the things that I really want to make sure I can do because I'm so busy driving everybody around, or they have activities, they have school programs, stuff like that. I was talking to one of my girlfriends who lives in New York, and Kim from Exquisitely Unremarkable, and I would love for you guys to check her out. But she has older girls, and we were just laughing about how we both stay home, but we're so busy all day long. And it's not because, like, I'm just making dinner and keeping my house clean, because I really stink at that, but I really am just so busy taking my kids everywhere. They really have lives now versus when they were little, you know, they would be helping me do this craft, or they would, mine never took naps, so I can't really use that excuse, but they were busy doing other art projects. If this was what I was doing, they were doing something else. They would be maybe watching some cute little TV show. Now all they watch is YouTube, but you know, they were just so much less busy, I feel like, and now we're so busy. So I've actually started to stash. You guys can see that my craft room is a total disaster, and that's okay because all crafters should have some messiness. But I'm starting on my teacher gifts and my teacher gifts that I like to do for the holidays. Not only just Christmas, but for like Halloween and Thanksgiving, I like to give the teachers just a little something. Now, with only one left in elementary school, my older kids don't really want to take their middle school teachers gifts because that looks goofy, they say. But I still want to make sure that the people that I do like to give gifts to, I have the items ready. So now is the perfect time, while some situation like this where they're off with other things going on, and I'm actually almost home alone. There's still now one kid here, but where I can take care of and start tackling some gifts for down the road. So, all right, I'm gonna just start using these black ones because we are running out of red. So, what row am I on? The black ones actually are a little shorter too, so if you're not wanting to use one that's really long, that's definitely a great option. I would recommend, you can go to Walmart. I actually think Walmart has packs of these cable ties, zip ties, that are white or clear in a large quantity that you could get there, or just go to Amazon and find them there. So, and then just keep all these things organized in your craft room, and then you can have them for later. And what I do is after I make these wreaths, so if I have like a few rolls left or some of this jute, this mesh rope left, I never throw it away. I actually, I'll show you real quick. have a box right here and a Ziploc baggie. Here's some yellow that I actually think would look better than the orange that I have, so I might pull this out. And then just tons of other wreath making supplies that were left over from Christmas and Halloween, because there's some Halloween ones in here. But I save them because you never know when you're going to need just a little something. So actually, like I said, I might use that yellow instead of this orange. My Dollar Tree did not have yellow rope when I went there the other day. So good thing I saved all my extra. I can make that work. So never throw away your craft supplies. Be a hoarder. My husband, I try to keep him out of this space. He doesn't need to be down here. It's kind of like me going in the garage. He's like, just stay out, because we both are hoarders in our own ways. That my craft supplies, and he saves tools and wood scraps all the time. And I'm really glad that we do most of the time, aside from when you have to step over them in the garage or whatever. But I'm really glad that we always do, because I'm always able to make super cool things out of the supplies that we had left over. Like for instance, if you guys saw on the Facebook page, we had when our house, this house, my 1886, was struck by lightning and caught fire 3 months after we moved here from North Carolina. Obviously it had to go under major renovations, and with that, there were a couple fun things that we decided to do, but I guess this one wasn't a fun one. This was from the attic. Well, no, this was from our closet. So in our master bedroom, we had 2 closets, and normal people would be ecstatic about that. We had one walk-in and then one, like, I would call it the guy's closet, another closet. But the only problem with that closet was it was just, because my house was so old, it was a balloon frame closet. So that means like everything it's like really long studs, joists, that wouldn't be a joist, framing that hold your house together, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it also covered up our staircase, and we have a really pretty staircase. And so we wanted to open that up and not have the closet wall. It's very hard to describe without seeing the pictures. So if you guys want to see the pictures, you can head to the blog and just search, or just go to gatheredinthekitchen.com/fire, and you can see all the updates. And there's some updates in there where I talk about that. You can see all the photos. But anyway, we decided to remove that closet. Again, not normal. Not a lot of people will get rid of a closet, but we did. And that's okay. So anyway, we when we tore all that up and removed the part that was like overhanging, think suspension. That's actually what that was. That was a suspended closet. So the framing went all the way up to the attic ceiling, and then our closet hung. It's super goofy to explain, but that's really what it was. So anyway, when we ripped that out, we pulled out that floor then too, and completely nixed it because we didn't want that covering this staircase. So what happened was there, 1, 2, 3, 4, was the subfloor. And the subfloor was gorgeous. Somebody had painted it blue at some point. I have no idea why that was painted blue. I don't know if when the house was built, if they were using supplies from somewhere else for that part of the subfloor. I don't know. But anyway, I saved all that wood like a hoarder. And I didn't know what to do with it. Didn't know what to do with it until finally last week actually, I decided I was going to make some planter boxes out of them. So I took that wood and made these really pretty and cute planter boxes that I put on either side of this rabbit hutch that I also built. I haven't posted that tutorial. I probably won't, because I did not follow plans. I just built and posted the pictures on the Facebook page. But I put them on either side of that, and they look so pretty. And I wouldn't have something super unique and cute like that if I didn't save that wood. So it just goes to show, save your supplies. Another thing too, my house, we always have a million projects going on at this house just because. And we're building a tree fort for our kids, and massive and it's super high in the air because we cut down a tree that was obviously very old, but we left it, and I think it's 16 feet off the ground where the entry point is for this. It's either 14 or 16 feet for the entry point of the play fort. It's got a trap door, so then it's still much higher than that because it's fully walkable inside. But anyway, I had some old windows that have the wavy glass and everything that I saved, or maybe found and saved. And we used those in the play fort, and I'm so glad that we did because it matches my house now, because my house has a lot of wavy glass. And now it doesn't look like I just found and put brand new windows into this play fort. So it always pays off to save. And I didn't have to pay anything for those windows because I already owned them. Like I said, I think I got them. I think I got those ones for free. I did. So I kept them in our garage. So, all right, back to wreath making. That's a bunch of side stuff about our house. But again, you can always head to the blog and read all of our fun stuff about our house over there. So, all right, so we are starting to really fill this out. It looks kind of funny until it's full. So we're gonna just keep going here. You can make flowers like this in any different colors. So if you wanted to make a purple one or a red one, you can even recreate this with red, and it would be like a poinsettia. You could take some ornaments, stick them in the middle, or whatever you choose to put in the middle. It'd be beautiful. 1, 2, 3, one more here. But that's the great thing about mesh. It comes in so many different colors. I have a post on the blog showing you all of the different colors that it does come in, along with some tips and tricks on how to use it. So you guys can head there and check that out. But it's such a forgiving product. It comes in so many versatile colors, and it's way, way easy to use. A beginner crafter can definitely use this with no problem. All right, there we go. So let's see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. All right, so there is our first row of yellow. As you can see, some of these green ones are flapping down, but that's okay. They'll stay up once we fill them out a little more. So now I'm going to start, I'm actually going to go ahead and cut, rather than the orange, I am going to use the yellow. Let me grab that. Okay, I've got a lot of this cut already because, like I said, it was a leftover from a different project. I'm gonna put the black away. This, you don't have to use your rotary cutting tool. You can actually just use scissors for this. This cut's pretty easy. Let me see what these are cut at. These are cut at 12. Okay, so let me see what I think that one is leftover. What I think of that. So if I roll my petals still the same way, and then I place one of these on top, and when I fold that up, now the only thing I'd have to make sure, let me see if I want to do it that way, I can just, is that when I do my zip tie, is that it will catch. Let's see. So typically what I do when I make these is I tie them. When it's a curl Deco mesh wreath, I just tie it on, and then that would be my like pick. But because these are a little different, I think I will just do it that same way, and then they'll fold up, and then these will kind of just flop wherever. Let's give one a try. Let's see what we think. So I tied it, I'm gonna fold it, and these will just kind of hang down. And we're gonna start the next row. So these are gonna go on my crossbars again. That looks cute. So you can kind of see these kind of just add a little extra texture. So I'm not going to do them on all of them. I'll start with just the crossbars, put them on the crossbars, and then we'll add them in a little bit more. All right, so take our mesh, tie, and fold. And place them on the crossbar on the third row in. Once these do become kind of full, these wreaths, it's a little difficult to work with them just to attach all your stuff just because there's so much in the way, but it's not too big of a problem. So if you guys make any of these wreaths, I would love to see how yours turns out. Make sure you share it in the comments and tag me, Gathered in the Kitchen, because I really would love to see what you guys create. If you make one similar or if you do one totally a different color, I'd love to see it. All right, so this is what it's looking like so far. You can see it's starting to fill out more, and my petals look really nice. They're nice and tubular, almost kind of like a real leaf petal would be. So I'm gonna push those out, and now start on our inner rows. I don't have a ton of these rolls left, so we're gonna make sure we spread them out, but you just add them again, always on the cross tie, and then working your way in. So again, we're going to come back through and cut off all these zip tie ends that are on the back, and then our wreath will lay flat against the door. And what you can do to make a hook for your wreath is just take a pipe cleaner, hook it around, and twist it, and then make your own little hook. Works out great every time. Okay. So here we go. Obviously, you're going to see some of these zip ties back here, but it is coming together really nicely. I may run back to the store and buy some more yellow and just keep filling this in to make it extra fluffy, because I just like wreaths that way. But in the meantime, before I do that, let's go ahead and get our sign attached. So we're just basically going to attach it in the center like that. Let's cut off the tag, and then that does not go through. Okay. So let's see. Typically what you can do is just use your zip ties to tie this on, but this one does not have any holes in it, and I think it's a little too thick for me to attempt putting a hole through. So actually, what I can do, I know what to do. Just on the corners, I'm going to take my drill and switch out my bit for a drill tip. So I am going to just put a small hole in it using my drill tip. This one is a 1/8. Just gonna do that. I'm gonna do it on either corner. I'm gonna hang it over the edge and just go slow and back it out. Let's see if that's big enough actually. I might have to, oh, it's perfect. So the zip tie fits right through it. Great. Do it again over here. So really all this sign is cardboard, but it's super cute. And again, it was at the dollar store at Dollar Tree, so it was $1.25. You can't beat that. And I didn't have to come up with a better center. So I'm just gonna put this on and put it through one of the rungs, just like we did the wreath. So I will try to hide the zip tie end where it's got like the little square end to it. Pull it on. I'm not going to pull it too tight yet because I want to make sure I get it centered first. Okay. Put this one on. That looks good. All right, so there we go. Here is our wreath. I've got one little zip tie sticking up that and try to hide in the back. So I'm gonna get a little more and fill this in just a little more, but that looks super cute, you guys. That's really adorable. It's got the really beautiful curled petals that you can really see. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but it's got really beautiful curled petals. It's got the green in the back for the leaves, and that looks really great. So really an easy wreath to make. And actually, because I left the door hanger part on the sign, I actually have a string now. I can hang this up on the door. And everything is the same length. Everything's uniform. And everything looks fabulous. So what I'll do is I'm going to cut off all of these zip ties at the back just using scissors. Just snip them down, but I won't make you guys stick around for that. And then I'll hang this up on the door and I'll show you guys what it looks like. Thank you so much for following and watching this video. I appreciate it. If you guys have any questions, make sure you let me know in the comments or head over to the blog. Again, it's gatheredinthekitchen.com, or you can head over to our DIY group where this is actually posted live and ask your questions there, and make sure you post the pictures of your wreaths because I really, really, truly would love to see what they look like. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.